Our society has countless images, ideas, and stereotypes about change agents. People who help an organization transform by improving business process and interpersonal interactions. Whether influencing fashion, business, art, entertainment, science, politics, or law, these change agents have and continue to positively impact today's society on so many levels. And today, we are proud to share the story of these business owners, coaches, innovators, and thought leaders from various industries who are eager to educate, inspire, and motivate you. This is Our Voices on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Welcome to Our Voices, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation. My name is Natasha Nurse. I'm the owner and co-founder of Dressing Room 8, co-host of Woke and Free, and the lifestyle editor of Plus Model Magazine. And this show is focused on highlighting the amazing work of powerful change agents who have a great message to share with the world. Today, I'm really excited to be speaking with award-winning filmmaker Jackie Schwartz. She, in 2014, co-created, produced, and sold a digital series called Rare Birds of Fashion, which champions the plus-size community and female entrepreneurs. Since then, she's produced multiple web series and short films, which have been premiered and won awards at various festivals throughout the country. In her career, she's been lucky enough to work with incredible talent, including Zach Quinto, Zoe Saldana, Bradley Cooper, Daniel Radcliffe, Elizabeth Olsen, Gloria Steinem, Jill Kargman, Lloyd Kaufman, and many more. She's previously worked as an associate producer at Fully Branded Media, collaborating in the production of films such as The Romantics, Margin Call, and Kill Your Darlings. Jackie is a proud advocate of self-love and a board member of Realize Your Beauty, an organization dedicated to promoting positive body positivity and body image to the youth through theater art. She currently lives in New York City and is working on her satire memoir, which is called I Only Came for the Food. So without further ado, Jackie, how are you?
I'm good. I'm waiting for this weather to get a little bit warmer, but I'm good. How about you?
Absolutely. So you have like a really remarkable bio, and I want to jump right into it. So like, what made you become a filmmaker? When did you fall in love with film?
Well, I think there are probably two parts to that answer. So I grew up watching the show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yes.
A little show called Buffy, which I know we've talked about before. And it was a show that I think saved me in many ways. I grew up, I was plus size, I didn't quite fit in, sort of a storybook misfit, if you will. And I remember just finding that show and that show sort of giving me this power that I didn't think was possible. Going home to watch a show and feeling like no bad day couldn't be resolved with watching Buffy. So I loved the story that it told, that Joss Whedon sort of created this world where he dispelled the stereotype that the young blonde female would be the first to die at the beginning of every film, and had this woman take back the power. And I think it sort of not only made me a feminist without even knowing it. Then I was probably in fourth grade when I started watching it, and then just grew up with it. But made me like really believe in the power of myself. And there were other movies like Now Voyager that I also felt was gave me similar power. And I think I just always was in awe of these ways storytelling could change lives. And so I went to college, I studied creative writing, and then got an internship in film, and all of a sudden was like, wow, I can actually be a part of this story making. And hey, it's not as glamorous as it seems behind closed doors, but I can still give somebody else that feeling that I had. And so fast forward to now, where, along the line of your 20s, you're always questioning what you want to do. But something I think that stuck with me was this idea that I would be able to take a story and give somebody what I felt while watching Buffy or anything else.
I love that. And I, too, am a huge Buffy fan, which and I hope people listening can also kind of think about how pivotal certain shows or movies have been in their life, and how cool is it that, that really puts you on the path for which you're so passionate about and you're so good at and have had so much success with it so far. So what would you ultimately say are the keys to your success as a filmmaker?
I think something that is almost is just as important to me as the story that I'm telling itself is creating a set and working with people who have similar ideals and morals. And also just when you're a producer, which is what I am, you have this, I think, real obligation to creating a set that is, you know, in the same tone as what you're trying to do. I really, really find it important to create sets that are collaborative, that are open. I don't never want it to be the boss that walked into the room and everybody started shutting down. I also think that people make mistakes that you're bringing onto set. Instead of chewing someone out and chewing someone up and spitting them back out, you have to, you know, be kind to people's mistakes and help them learn and not be afraid to make more mistakes. So to me, I think it's really like I've really found people that I love collaborating with who have the same thoughts as me and what they want to do, but also I've sort of learned who I want to work with. And, you know, so many of people that I worked with that were once PAs on my set are now growing with me to become associate producers, etc. And I think to me, kindness is such a key to success, and it's so underrated, just the kindness factor. Absolutely.
And being that you talked about success now, on the flip side, what would you say have been some of the biggest challenges you've dealt with as a producer, as a filmmaker?
I think that there have been times, well, I think I always say this, you learn more from your failures than your successes. You know, someone actually once told me that, which I think was really important. There were times when I think I was too over my head and just sort of relied on this idea that things were going to go smoothly because they had before. And I think I had jumped into things too quickly without actually knowing, you know, what I was doing or what would work, or realizing that sometimes it takes a lot of time for a new team to jive. So I think instead of getting myself down with these failures or these times that something hasn't gone as smoothly, or, you know, I mean, I could give you a real example. There was one time I was filming something and I didn't know that I didn't want to spend the money, I guess, on hiring someone who was going to handle all the data. We're going to manage all the data, and we lost our sound. I mean, it was crucial. I mean, you know, you're all about sound doing
this.
And we lost it. And it was, I really for a moment thought it was the end of the world until I took a big, deep breath and realized, okay, well, we can't do anything about this, so let's try to do what we can to make, you know, what we have work. And from then on, I realized that there are some things that are really important that you can't get away without doing.
That is a very important lesson indeed. Oh, wow. You are listening to Our Voices on the Voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. My name is Natasha Nurse, and my guest today is award-winning filmmaker Jackie Schwartz. Wow, that is a really, 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 really critical lesson that you shared, and I appreciate that, and I hope the audience appreciates that as well, because that is I'm curious then. So how did that work out for were you able to finish the film, or did it just end up costing more?
Well, it did end up costing more. I was lucky that we were filming a sizzle reel or trailer, which was just to give you a little, for those who don't know, just a little bite of what you could create. So, you know, we had envisioned a portion of it not really being sound, but to be set to music. And we ended up doing that the whole way. And what happened was nobody really understood the story of what was happening. So we did have to go in there and do some voiceover work and all of that. But I was lucky in a sense that it wasn't a feature film I was working on or a short film where we lost the sound and, you know, and we would have had to shoot all over again. But it was a valuable lesson in there that, you know, learn what you need and know that what things are that you cannot get away with not having.
Absolutely.
I think in any field.
And for those listening who are interested in becoming filmmakers, what would you say is step one for that person?
Ask yourself why you want to be a filmmaker. I think that has really enabled me to work with the people that I work with now and to find my group of people that I collaborate with who all want to work on projects that support marginalized communities and underrepresented voices. And once you ask yourself why, start volunteering on different projects, start volunteering to shadow people, start volunteering to be a PA or find paid PA work. I think I went a little bit of a different route where I worked on a bunch of different films and, then I wanted to be the head producer and I started just offering to produce people's work. And that's how I ended up now having the jobs and working with the people that I work with because I was able to sort of learn how to do it by just being like, hey, do you need a producer? Do you need an extra, producer to do this for you? And I ended up, continually asking myself, why do you want to be a filmmaker? What do you want to make? And then eventually it just sort of serendipitously came together that I met a production company called Besties Make Movies that ended up, now I do a majority of my work with, collaborate with, who also had the same ideals of what they wanted to bring to screen.
Excellent. And so just to clarify, did you just kind of volunteer your services and you find that that's like a really good route for people to kind of get their hands dirty and understand the reality of what filmmaking is about?
Yeah, I mean, I went to different film festivals and started watching other people's work, and then I started reaching out to people whose work I really liked, and I was like, hey, can we grab coffee? I'd love to learn more about what you do. And if there was a good vibe there, I said, hey, if you need a producer, I'd love to produce your stuff. And so I started producing smaller scale stuff we'd shoot in one day, and then started, a couple days and started doing, a lot more and getting more involved in it.
I love it. Okay. And as a feminist and a body positive activist, I guess what would you say is missing in this industry? Because I definitely have my thoughts on it, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, I'm sure you've seen Shrill at this point.
Yes.
Which I'm so excited about. And obviously I sort of felt that I had created a web series as well that was on the cusp of this, body positive movement really coming to everybody's attention. But, I so often say that there still isn't enough diversity on screen, a diversity of stories, a diversity of people. There just isn't enough stories that are, about people who have voices that are sort of lost. I mean, Hollywood, or mainstream Hollywood still has, there's progress being made, and we always know that it's good to have progress, but I still want to see women who are not the typical Hollywood size in roles that aren't about their bodies. I want that kind of diversity, and I still want story. I want story. Something that is so missing to me when I talk about body positivity and size inclusivity and just inclusivity in general. People who have disabilities, stories about them, about their struggles, or just having more characters who have disabilities on screen when it isn't just typically about that story. I often advocate for size inclusivity in, restaurants, theaters, airplanes, etc. And in that same breath, I like to advocate for accessibility as, for everybody. And I think there just aren't enough stories about that. And I hope to be able to tell some of those stories soon. But, that's so important to me.
Absolutely. I really, really appreciate that. And I completely concur. Yes. I don't know if you've seen the show. It's not on anymore, but Switched at Birth. I was a big fan of just seeing just more deaf people, because I couldn't even remember a time in my life where I'd seen that many deaf people and actual real people who were deaf, not just acting as, deaf individuals on screen, signing and kind of bringing awareness to the fact that many deaf people can't even enjoy films because a lot of movie theaters don't want to offer the closed captions option, right? And that's really unfair and unjust. And, all people should be able to consume all things in different ways. We as a society have to be more open to that conversation.
Yeah, and that's beautifully put. Honestly, I constantly think about that because as I'm advocating for someone at my size who feels that, restaurants should be more open and airplanes, et cetera, all of that, I often think about other people. I'm lucky that I can, have two legs, that I can walk into a restaurant. But what about, and I may have trouble fitting into a seat, but what about those people who can? I mean, there should be a ramp everywhere. It's just... it's hard. And of course, I think there's still room in recent years, stories about the LGBTQA community have gone down. And I think that it's really important that, again, we don't allow that to happen. So often, people who, there are stories out there that need to be told, and communities that are desperately need to see it as well. And I think we cannot forget about those people.
Absolutely. You are listening to Our Voices. My name is Natasha Nurse. More with my guest, award-winning filmmaker Jackie Schwartz, next on the Voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC.
Did you just look down at your phone? You did it again, didn't you? You're flying down the road in a 3-ton hunk of steel, and a text takes your eyes off the road for an average of 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's long enough to travel the length of a football field and cause some serious damage. Turn it off. Trust me, whatever it is, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextsstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Welcome back to Our Voices on the Voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. My name is Natasha Nurse, and my guest today is award-winning filmmaker Jackie Schwartz. So, Jackie, you shared some wisdom on kind of some lessons learned, but ultimately, what would you say has been the biggest lesson that you've learned as a content creator, filmmaker, all of that good jazz?
You have to let go of the failures. I mean, I can go on and on about all of the times. I could post online about how many projects I'm doing and how great things are, but the truth is I have had more failures than I have had successes. More people I've worked with who I thought were going to be my longtime collaborators and then disappointed me, and perhaps I disappointed them. And I think there are times where I held on to it too tightly. And now I know, looking back, that it just was part of, that journey that we all are on with our career and our personal lives. And I think learn from those failures and then let them go. And as, the Grateful Dead once said, believe it if you need it. If you don't, just pass it on.
I love that. Okay. And when it comes to making a great film, how would you define what a great film is, and what are kind of the key ingredients to have there?
There are definitely a few different things. I think one, a script and a story you believe in. I think that is, one of the most important keys. A team of people who believe in the same thing as you and want to get a story out there for the same reason you do. And again, I will say there are times we all have to take on projects and stuff because we have to make money. But I'm really talking about those films that, live in your soul, and you need to get out there in the communities that you want to create them for that desperately need them as well. And then again, I'll bring this up. I am a big believer in kindness and creating sets and environments that are inclusive in every single way, have diverse staff, diverse characters, and be collaborative and open, and let people make mistakes and teach them.
Absolutely. Okay. And when it comes to habits for your own personal success and the lessons that you're learning in your career, what would you say are habits that you have for your personal and professional development that you explore and implore, every day?
I think this is the same thing personally and professionally, but I treat people the exact same way. There is not somebody, I think everybody is equal, and I treat everybody with the same amount of respect. Somebody who is, a PA or who is, delivering something to my set, I look at the same way as the agent who's brought on the high talent or the director. I think, and I believe in also answering everybody. Obviously there are emails that get lost behind, but I really try, whether it's hey, thank you for your time, but I can't. I really try to make sure everyone's heard.
I love that. Yes. That is, a principle. I think that if more people used in their life, we would have a different type of humane culture amongst us, because I definitely don't think people think about that, right? Like everyone is the same, when one hurts, all hurt, because we would have to behave differently then as people. But
yeah, no, it's everybody, I think what people don't realize is, I know what it's like to be a person who walks into a room and feels little worth, or I know what it's like to have made a mistake and to have felt, I would go home at the end of the day and it would just sit on my chest. And to my best ability, I really want to change that culture. I think so many people have told me, you'll never make it in this industry if you're not mean or you're not angry at times.
Wow.
I don't believe that. I don't at all. You know what? To me, I would rather not make it because I was kind.
Yeah, and also what's interesting in life and that I have learned is that, people will give you a million reasons why they think you can't do something, yet somehow you do it, right? The impossible, in the word impossible, is possible, right? So is anything really impossible? No. But you have to come from that place and that mindset. So no, I tip my hat to you and I salute you for your kindness, because, for so many faith-based people, that's a tenet. So, anyone who challenges that and dares to say that they have a faith that they believe in need to really check themselves because kindness is not optional. It's mandatory. It's a must. So no, that's a blessing.
And I've learned to be kinder because there are times where I haven't been. I have not been perfect in this journey. And I think I've learned that it doesn't make me feel good to not, be kind to someone. There are times where I have gone up to somebody and I have apologized to them. I've gone up to assistants and I've said, listen, I'm sorry, you didn't deserve my frustration at you. And just so you know, that was not, you didn't do anything wrong. And I've learned from those times that, hey, you don't have to get to that point, but when you do, take a step back and say to somebody who is working so hard for probably such little money that you are sorry and you're going to do better next time.
Absolutely. Wow. Very meaningful. I love that. You are listening to Our Voices on the Voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. My name is Natasha Nurse, and my guest today is award-winning filmmaker Jackie Schwartz. So, Jackie, so many questions, so little time. Oh, my gosh. Okay. So, as a filmmaker, content creator, right, feminist, leader, all of this good stuff, who would you say motivates or inspires you to keep moving and kind of pushing the needle forward?
Wow, there are so many people. Currently, I'm going to mention two people. One, I'm just going to say Lizzo because
yeah,
she is just rocking it. Her songs motivate me. They power me. They give me strength. I love that she is, an intersectional feminist in every way, and just empowering more people to look at the plus community in a different way. So she is one. And then I really love right now and admire Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I think that she so often is so true to herself and her own beliefs, and that she, in a world where we just want people to like us, especially when you're at a level where everybody knows your name, I think she really just sticks to her beliefs. And I think it's such a hard thing to be a person who is trying to make a change despite people maybe not agreeing with you, even on the Democratic liberal side. So I really salute her for continuing to stick to her morals.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've been very impressed with, her work as a community leader, as a politician. I don't necessarily agree with everything that I've seen in the news, but I agree with you. I think her determination to being an authentic person in this space, and it is hard to be authentic in politics, right? Because especially when people are gunning for your failure, which I think more than any other industry, people want you to mess up. They want you to say the wrong thing. They want you to do the wrong thing so they can just say, gotcha, like every step of the way. So, I applaud her. And as a woman, there's a special place, where women for women who don't support each other. So I support her. I want her to win, because a win for her is a win for us as a whole. So, absolutely. And yes, shout out to Lizzo. She is unapologetically amazing and fabulous and deserves so much glory. So I'm excited to continue to see where she goes as an artist, as a feminist, we both play the flute. So I'm always like, yes, sister,
you play the flute, yes. Oh my goodness. I need to do that one day.
Yes. I know every time I see her, I'm like, oh, I got to pick up my flute. Wait a minute now.
I love it. You're going to get up stage with her one day.
Yes, that would be phenomenal. Oh, goodness. Now, I would love for you to share, have there been really key resources that you've used to kind of grow your craft as a filmmaker, as a content producer and creator?
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of really awesome groups, female, women-empowered groups in the film world coming up. I belong to New York City Women Filmmakers on Facebook, which is a really great resource for finding crews and finding jobs. Something called Media Mavens. I also have gone to a lot of women in media brunches or events. I also actually have done in the past year and a half, I guess it's been, or year, lose track of time, a lot of filming at YouTube studios in Chelsea because of the generosity of a production company called Trauma Entertainment, which is really supportive of young filmmakers and has sort of allowed me to come in and pitch them these stories and say, hey, it would be really cool to make something. I call it Trauma Light, because if anyone knows Trauma, they're very culty horror comedy, and this is more Trauma Light, where it's more independent young filmmakers coming in. So I think it's really about exploring different places where you feel you fit in and meeting different people in those communities. It's really, I think, so important to find people who really believe in what you're doing and what you want to do.
I love it. And for those listening, if you want to be a filmmaker and you're like, I don't know what to do, Jackie told you, you have to get out there and you have to connect, you have to network, and you have to be hungry enough for your dream. So I love that. So I do want to make sure people know a little bit more about you as well. So if they want to get in touch with you, to collaborate, to work with you, to champion you, where do they go? And then also, what's next for you?
So I am really active on Instagram. You can find me at jschwartz00. And you can also continue to check out what work I'm doing by going to my IMDb, which is just my name. And then there's a picture of me in a white T-shirt, modelly sort of picture.
Awesome. And any announcements, or just stay tuned on IMDb?
Oh, well, I can say that I'm very excited that I will be releasing on Trauma's YouTube channel something called Queens of Daytime very recently, which is a sort of, you could call short film, trailer, sizzle kind of reel about how in the 1950s women were actually, and this is a true story, a little known fact, producing and writing and directing soap operas because men decided they didn't want to pay men as much as they were making to film what they called little soapers. So this is based off a true story, and I'm also really excited to be shooting a feature film in a few weeks called Triple Threat, which kind of blends film and music together, and then working on a piece about a plus-size burlesque dancer. So lots of stuff coming, and also, stay tuned on IMDb.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jackie. That's incredible. And I'm just so honored to have you share your story with our voices here on 90.3 WHPC.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited. And I'm always happy to answer questions anybody has. Find me on Instagram. That's where I am. Absolutely.
And I hope our audience found you both as informative and inspiring as I did. My name is Natasha Nurse. I'm the proud host of Our Voices here on 90.3 WHPC. Our show's creative director is Rudy J. Breedy. Visit nccradio.org. That's www.nccradio.org for more information. This will be available as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. Our Voices is powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.